Director Saul Tia Tusang and producer Tet Musin. Please give a big round of applause for Let the Spirit Guide You.
Hello everyone, thank you for being here. So my name is Tet Musin and I'm the producer of the film Let the Spirits Guide You, and this is my director, Saul. We've known for like almost 5 years. We finished the same school. He was my senior, and we work as interns at the Group Film Productions in Myanmar. Our collaboration evolved as I work as a translator for his project, for his first short film, And the Need My Chin in 2020, and I also work as a director of photography for his son personal project. Yeah, and yeah, we have trust in our vision and passions, and so we finally decided to apply for Purin Short Film Camp to collaborate more projects, to motivate ourselves, and to challenge ourselves. Yeah.
Thank you. Hello. Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be standing before you, especially such a bright, amazing crowd of filmmakers. I feel a true honor. So first, I'll start off by telling the story of our film. The film is about two brothers, Floki and Susu, and sort of their journey of sort of trying to reconnect with their mother after finding a diary of their mother, which has a map that shows somewhere near, that shows a forest near Chiang Mai. So they decided to follow the map, and in the forest, because they didn't prepare properly, they get lost, and somehow, after getting lost, they encounter a big tree. And after encountering this tree, magical things, mystical things starts to occur. At the end of the film, Floki has to sort of reconcile and come to terms with the fact that his brother has passed away, and he was imagining his brother all along in this journey. So how did I came up with the story? The story behind the story is that I'm sure as many of you are familiar, in Myanmar, there's a war going on right now. And in the street lingo, or in just general conversation, when someone joins the war, we say he has gone into the forest, or he's gone into the jungle. So as someone who loves wordplay, the idea sort of sparked from that phrase. And in developing the story, I started talking to my mother because I wanted to know experiences of someone who has lived near or within the forest. And my mother grew up in a very rural place in Myanmar called the Chin State, and she grew up in the almost very close to the forest, so she always ventured into the forest with her brother. And when I asked her about these stories, she started telling me many folklores from my ethnic groups, from these indigenous tribes. And within these folklores, one of the things that keep popping up is the floating spirits. So as I developed this story further in this camp, I began to realize that there's magic in life that I get to feel. And as I'm writing the story, I start to realize this magic is actually the love that I get to feel from my family. And I think I wanted to reflect that somehow in the story as well. So the characters have a lot of close family relationships. In a real sense, I think, let the spirits guide you. The spirits are almost my mother and my brother who have guided me throughout this very dark period in Myanmar. Oh. And with that, I'll talk a little bit about the cast. The past year, I moved to Chiang Mai from Myanmar, and I met a lot of friends, and out of them, these two brothers stood out to me. They become my close friends, and in this film, I've reached out to them and sort of talked to them about being the actors for this film. And in terms of the acting style, it will be more natural. I think because I'm coming from a documentary background, it will be very low-key. And in terms of the visual style of this film, I sort of try to say it almost like a Pichabon meets Studio Ghibli. Sort of, yeah. And then...
So when Saul told me about this script, I like really immediately connected to it. I wanted to make this happen because the same feeling of being left behind in the dark. It's like the shared sense of us, for especially the younger generations in our country in Myanmar since the crisis. So I want to make this, hopefully I want to make this representing the inner conflict of our younger generations in the country. For the production, we're thinking to make this in Chiang Mai, with the fact that Saul being an ethnicity, Chin ethnic, we're also thinking to combine the crew combination Thai and Burmese filmmakers, so that we can exchange our cultures, we can share our feelings and emotions, and we can also like collaborate for more projects. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. And that concludes our 7th pitch. Jury members, it is time for the Q&A session. The floor is yours.
What will be the balance between experimental and narrative elements? Because your background is a documentary, but the film which was included in the list, the film we saw, it was quite experimental, and I understand this will be much more narrative. So how will you balance, and do you need to refrain yourself to be too experimental or not?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. I think, so as a young filmmaker, I only have one documentary that has been screened in film festivals and 2 experimental works that I'm trying to still get producers to help distribute it. But in my work, especially living in Myanmar under the military, I have to find ways to tell stories that I really want to tell, which is about related to the trauma and the loss that we are feeling. But I can't do it straightforward in documentary. So I had to challenge myself, how can I break free and sort of create something that could pass under the radar? So I started exploring experimental. And somehow, like, even since I was a kid, I was very interested in playing around and creating new styles of storytelling. I think I was always interested in theater. I make up scenarios with my friends a lot of the time. So for this film, in balancing the experimental and the drama, the fiction, I hope it's a new form of storytelling for me that I'm trying to explore. And to be completely honest, I'm still a little bit unsure of how I will undertake it, but I'm willing to learn more and explore this another mode of storytelling.
You mentioned that you guys will be shooting in Chiang Mai, and your actors are also from there. The story, is it changed to be set in Thailand then? I'm just wondering about the language, or what's the plan for it? Has it evolved?
Yeah, it actually, I think people, our mentor, would know how much it has evolved because in writing the script, I have for me, this is the first time working on a fiction film with a script. So I have a lot of doubts about my own writing, and I have a lot of doubts about whether it's good or not. So it has changed a lot. At first, we started thinking we wanted to make this film in Myanmar, but then after discussing more with our friends and mentors, it's just too dangerous to be taking that risk. So we moved to Chiang Mai, where actually my mother is also living currently, which I also want to cast as the old lady. So yeah, it will be a social experiment.
I mean, you
to
mentioned
analyze.
like the Studio Ghibli style, which kind of is reflected a little bit in the old lady in the forest.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, you already answered my question. Because I also want to ask, like, but maybe my question is, like, is it possible for you to go back to shoot in Myanmar, but maybe it's a slightly different, but you already decided to make the film in Chiang Mai. Okay, then I would like to ask if, would you include, like, performing arts in,
Yeah, especially since my previous work relied a lot on performing arts, and during my education, I was able to take a lot of acting, not acting, but theater classes, especially lighting, lighting design. I want to incorporate like lighting design that a lot of theater playwrights use in their work to sort of create a more mystical sense in the forest. So I think lighting would be mainly used, but in terms of performance, I would try to keep this more low-key. I think, especially watching a Pichabon film recently after getting accepted from this camp, I started to realize, like, this style seems very dry, but in a sense, it almost is more creative, even though it's not like overly dramatic. It sits with you, and I think it lingers with you more, which is kind of the feeling that I want to portray with through this film.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we have a round of applause for our seventh pitch? Congratulations.